This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Coming up.
It's a very nice wine to pair with food, but you can also drink it just on its own, and that we will do just now.
In the last 10 years, they have restored this building and restored it beautifully, and this now serves as the main synagogue for the Jewish community of Bayreuth.
We were 7 people and a half. I'm the half.
Welcome in Würzburg, and it's time to let the party begin.
So sit back and enjoy the trip with Mark Gordon and David Harris. So when German tourism reached out to us and said, do you want to spend time in Bayreuth? Mark reached out to me and said,
David, do you want to go to Beirut?
And David said, very, very, very much, but maybe not quite yet.
I think your exact words were, no.
No, I would actually love to, but that is not where we are headed right now on a highway through Bavaria.
Did I say it wrong then, David?
Apparently, you've said it wrong lots of times, but we are reliably told that the name of the city to which we are currently headed is Bayreuth. One word.
Bayreuth.
So what are we going to be doing in Bayreuth?
Given my knowledge of Bavaria from what I've read, there may be some beer involved.
There's always beer involved. There are some very famous people who hail from Bayreuth, one of whom is Richard Wagner.
That would be why on the notable people list of Bayreuth, everybody was called Wagner.
That is exactly why. There were famous local regional monarchs who built the city.
I think you're going to be the person to do the question at the end of this section. You seem to know a lot more than me.
I am. And we're actually with a group of journalists, and we're going to a brand summit, which is going to talk quite a lot about tourism around Germany, but in particular in Bavaria and Bayreuth. We'll also find out about local cooking. We'll find out about beer production.
And local wine too.
Ooh.
And we might even meet the Queen.
Oh yes, I hope that happens. Anyway, shall we do the quiz question?
Go for it.
Okay.
Wagner.
Which world famous classical music composer died in Bayreuth aged 74 on the 31st of July 1886?
Richard Wagner. The answer at the end of the Bayreuth pod.
Hi, this is David Harris from the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com. Not a bad place to start a tour of Bayreuth.
No, we left our hotel and we walked down the pedestrianised centre. It's Italian festival weekend.
It was absolutely packed, both with locals and visitors. Ice cream parlours, limoncello, one of my favourites.
Aperol spritz as far as the eye can see.
And you still had your Kartoffeln and Bratwurst, of course. A maypole dominating the main shopping street, not the first maypole that we've seen on our travels around Bavaria. Lots of villages, but this is the first town that we've been in where we've seen the maypole as well.
As you walk to the end of that street and just descend some stairs, you come to a piece of history, and a very significant piece of Jewish history in Bayreuth.
Let's take you back, though, to the 1200s, the 13th century. That's the first record of Jews arriving in this city, up at the top end of Bavaria.
And like a lot of the Jews in Bavaria, they lived well until around the 15th century, when they were expelled out of parts of Bavaria and including Bayreuth.
Fast forward to the 18th century, to be approximately precise, around 1760, and the Margraves, who I don't know if we're going to hear that much about on our particular tour, but they were the royal family of this area, and a lot of the structures of the beautiful buildings that you see around this city were built by them. So it's almost like, I guess, for us Brits, it's a Georgian feel to the town. And one thing that happened at that time when Jews were allowed back was the construction of a synagogue,
which we have the pleasure of sitting next to. It doesn't look as though it's 370 years old.
It's phenomenally preserved.
And it's beautiful. It's very simple. It's white, an ornate metal door. And if you look at the triangles, you can see Magen David's through them.
Clever. I hadn't seen that.
And the words above it, Zeh Hashala Hashem Tzadikim Yavo'u Bo.
So, what happened to this synagogue during the Second World War?
Just before the Second World War, the November pogroms of 1938, or Kristallnacht as it's known by some people, took place. And in a lot of cases, synagogues all over Germany and in Bavaria were destroyed. This synagogue did not escape punishment. The SA and local people came in and they desecrated the synagogue, they took out the Sefer Torah, and they damaged the synagogue almost beyond repair.
However, almost abutting this synagogue is a now UNESCO building. And you remember we mentioned the Margrave royal family? This is the Margravian Opera House. And guess what? Amongst other things, the Nazis didn't want this German treasure being destroyed. As a result, the synagogue escaped comparatively lightly, not like the Jewish community here, of course, most of whom were taken away.
The Jewish community in Bayreuth still exists. It's about 500 to 600 people, and in the last 10 years they have restored this building and restored it beautifully, and this now serves as the main synagogue for the Jewish community of Bayreuth.
As I understand it, quite a number of the community members are from the former Soviet Union. Something that I read, we haven't had a chance to speak to anybody from the community, but I did read that there is a plan to open a kosher restaurant in the vicinity of this synagogue. There's also, of course, a mikveh here, and I believe there's a serving rabbi in the town as well.
Do you know what there isn't, or what I can't see from here?
I know exactly what you're going to say because I looked for it as well. So if you're not Jewish, you're probably familiar with the idea of a mezuzah, which is put on the doorpost as per the story in Exodus. And a lot of Jewish people, as we travel the world, and especially in places where once upon a time there was a Jewish community, or we know Jews lived there, and Mark and I started this way back in Tarnów in Poland, where we went mezuzah spotting. And so you're going to say,
I can't see a mezuzah.
So there's a good chance it's on the inside, and that might also be for security reasons.
Unless it's one of those large hinges that could be doubling up.
4 large hinges on either door. It's a very impressive door.
Anyway, if you're in Bayreuth and you come here for any of the festivals, it is a lovely small town, worth a visit. It's definitely worth coming down here and seeing the synagogue.
I would also suggest that you check online for the details of the community. You will find phone numbers very easily. You just need to do a search, be in touch with the community, and then I'm sure you will be most welcome to visit. You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast, Travel Edition.
We are in the beautiful Italian city of Napoli.
We're in downtown Dubai.
We are at the Mountain Dew Synagogue in Baku.
We are in the magnificent city Krakow.
The Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition brings you the joys of travel and tourism. So why not subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts?
We've woken up bright and breezy on a beautiful day in bouncing Bayreuth.
I'm glad you've got all that enthusiasm. I've woken up bright and beery. I'm certainly not bouncing.
Well, we're going to talk lots about beer, wine, travel and tourism, which are, I guess, the bedrock of this particular podcast.
But we're here for a reason, David. We have been on a tour of Bavaria, and you can hear all about that in later episodes. But there was a specific reason we came here, which was the German National Tourist Board Incoming and Brand Summit 2025.
Which is a mouthful, but basically what that is saying is we changed the way that we market Germany somewhat in recent years, and we've got all sorts of exciting things to tell you about. The main theme of the trip that we've been on, and we continue to be on, is tradition meets innovation. The head of the German National Tourist Board is Petra Hedorfer. Let's have a listen to some of the things that she's been saying at the Brand Summit.
The branding of the Brand Summit is tradition meets innovation. And where could have it been better done like here? A traditional place like Bayreuth, famous for history, musicians, art, culture, but also with the twist of innovation. And we can feel the spirit right here in the location, the huge area of the former brewery now with fancy restaurant, excellent modern hotel. We would like to explore this twist of tradition and innovation, the transformation, if I may say so. You probably know we had been for years and decades been the car builders, manufacturing of all these BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches, and so on. But there is so much more in our days, and this transformation also was pushed by the tourism industry of Germany, so let's focus on this as well. Culture is the key driver. There had been 20 million cultural trips to Germany. Because of the festivals, because of the outstanding performance of artists, Germany is having 11% market share of cultural trips. There is no other destination who has a bigger volume of cultural trips to their country because of the variety, because of all the federal states, because of the 400 theaters, the opera houses, the museums and everything.
The conference is taking place in a beautiful conference centre in a brewery, which is a blessing and a curse for me.
Good beer. And I have to pay credit. I mean, obviously, this is all part of what journalists get, to be perfectly honest, that we got a bottle of beautiful wine and a bottle of Meisel's beer in our hotel room when we walked in. Jolly nice.
The Meisel Brewery is the central brewery in Beirut. It is a family-owned brewery that has gone through 4 generations. And later in the podcast, you'll hear from the current owner, director, Jeff Meisel. But before that, we'll hear more about the city of Bayreuth, which is hosting this conference. And we'll hear from Dr. Manuel Becher, who is the CEO of Bayreuth Marketing and Tourism.
Almost everything of touristic importance in Bayreuth starts with a W. We have Richard Wagner, we have Wilhelmine, the Princess Wilhelmine, which I will introduce you in a second. And she has built the World Heritage. And we have culinary region that can be summarized with Wurst and wheat beer. You see, it all starts with a W. And we go with ladies first, with Princess Wilhelmine. This little lady, she was born at the beginning of the 18th century, and her destiny was to become the Queen of England. She should marry the Prince of Wales. But she grew really very old, 16 years of age, and still no proposal from London. That's bad. So her father decided that she had to marry the Prince of Bayreuth. That's even worse, because not London, not Buckingham Palace, not Queen, but Bayreuth and Margrave. That's in the royal hierarchy further down. But lucky her, she and her husband loved each other, and so he gave her all the money she needed to build her own paradise. And this is what you will experience during the next 2 days. The Hermitage, the palace where the Empress on Netflix was produced. So this is actually a film production site. The new palace with beautiful interior design, the Margrave Opera House, was built only for the wedding of the daughter of Wilhelmine. It's really amazing. You will see it. You can look at the faces of the people that go inside there. They stop walking, they stop talking, they behave like in a cathedral. We have 200 breweries in Upper Franconia, and they produce more than 1,000 different kinds of beers. That means if you try one beer every day, you have to stay 2.5 years with us until you tried all of them. We not only have the highest density of microbreweries in that area, but also butcher shops and bakeries. And we have a lot of fruit trees around. Beautiful blossom, by the way, cherry blossom, very nice, in Franconian Switzerland. And so we have a lot of distilleries. So you see, we are a culinary region which is worthwhile to visit. And if you go half an hour north of Bayreuth, you find this area, Fichtel Mountains. Looks a little bit like Scandinavia, I think. You can hike there, you can Nordic ski there. You even can downhill ski there. If you're not an expert, it's not very steep. And if you go out a little bit further, you find a lot of UNESCOs. You find Würzburg, Bad Kissingen, Bamberg as Franconian UNESCO heritage sites. Jörg Henschel of the Franconian tourist board is here. You find Nuremberg and Rothenburg as tourist destinations in Franconia, less than 2 hours. Regensburg, Karlovy Vary, Weimar, Eisenach, the Wartburg. So there is a lot to see if you stay in Bayreuth and do day trips from here.
As Mark indicated way back at the start of this podcast, the main son of the city, he wasn't born here, but he spent the last, I think, 11, 12 years of his life here, is Richard Wagner, which for obvious reasons is not something that we are going to focus on. However, we did just meet someone who is the organizer of the annual Wagner Festival, who was saying that one of the things they are going to be doing in the immediate future is hosting a concert in honor of all of those musicians, composers and so on who are prevented from being able to perform in this region because of their Jewish faith.
We spoke to Dr. Markus Kiesel, and you'll love this title. He is the dramaturgical advisor for the festival management for the anniversary season in 2026 of the Bayreuth Festival.
Thank you, Mark. What I want to say at this point is, yes, Bayreuth is attached and connected to Wagner, but that is not the only form of serious classical music offered in this city.
There is a second opera house. In fact, it was actually the first opera house, the Bayreuth Margravia Opera House, and every year they have their own festival with no Wagner at the Bayreuth Baroque Opera Festival.
And if you remember way back at the start of this podcast, if we told you how the synagogue of Bayreuth survived, it's because it is attached to this UNESCO recognised building.
The chairs here are quite funky. They're tartan, and embroidered on the back are some pictures of foxes with monocles.
We've opened a fine rosé from the Pays-d'Oc region of southeastern France.
To stand in front of the Birth of Venus by Botticelli and just take it in.
Turning their backs on these magnificent architectural wonders, and all they want to do is have that Instagram moment.
I listened to the guide for 2 minutes while I was on Wikipedia.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition with Mark Gordon and David Harris. A few moments ago, Mark declared that he absolutely worships beer. So now it's my turn. It's wine, isn't it?
For me, it definitely is.
Let me tell you who that voice is. That's Eva Brockman, who was the wine queen for all of Germany.
First for only Franconian wines, but then for all of Germany, so 13 different wine regions.
Before we get on to what you really want to talk about, which is the wine, what is a wine queen?
A wine queen is the most important representative for Germany's wine culture, for Germany's wine producers. So she is the voice of the whole wine growing, winemaking sector.
I know I said that I liked beer, but now that I'm here with wine, I can change a little bit. And there are some wines behind us. Maybe if we try them, it will be a way to help me change.
We're meant to be doing an interview here. We've managed one question and you already want to taste the wine.
No, but I think it will help our listener understand if we can talk about the wine and talk about the experience while we're doing it.
It sure will, yes. I will show you 2 different wines, I would say, because the variety is so big you cannot just taste one. You have to have a bit of a comparison. So I will start with a typical Franconian wine. It's a grape variety called Silvaner. It is dry. In this case, it was fermented in big wooden barrels, so it's a very nice wine to pair with food, but you can also drink it just on its own, and that we will do just now.
What do you smell, Mark?
I know you'll hit me if I say grape.
It's a fair point.
It's always meant to be stones and peach and stuff, but let's face it, it is grape.
It is grape, yes, of course, that's just what it is.
Citrus, maybe. But I could be wrong. I'm normally wrong.
There is no right or wrong when smelling or tasting a wine, because each and every one of us will smell and taste a bit differently than the rest, so that's fine. Everything you will say right now cannot be false.
Good, because I can never smell anything. They all smell the same to me. They just smell of lovely alcohol.
So while David starts quaffing, I'm looking behind you, and most of the wines are white wines. Why white wines in Germany?
Germany still is, even due to climate change, a cool climate wine growing region. So white wines were destined to grow here. We have experienced a red wine boom in the 1980s, but that has gone down quite a bit since then. And looking at the whole of Germany in the wine growing sector, you have more than 80% of white grape varieties and only about 20% for the reds. So we are a white wine growing country.
Climate change. Am I right in saying that alcohol content is going up and it's something connected to this?
You are completely right. With warmer temperatures, the sugar in the grapes will rise to a higher standard, and more sugar in the grapes will lead to more alcohol during fermentation, because that's what the yeast does. It ferments the sugar to alcohol. And in order to have lesser alcohol levels, which is what the wine community asks for right now, we have to work differently in the vineyards. So we have to do everything we can in order to reduce these sugar levels in the grape.
We're standing in a brewery. And a lot of people associate Bavaria with beer. How does wine cooperate with beer, compete with beer? Are we going to see you fight with the beer queen later?
That you will never see, because we are always saying that wine and beer are such different topics, such different drinks. They tend to speak to different people. Not always when people enjoy a glass of beer, they will enjoy a glass of wine, and vice versa. And that is why we more or less work hand in hand. And we have to work hand in hand, because neither beer nor wine is superior. We both coexist, and we have to value the other product, because when we work together, we can make Bavaria, Franconia, both of them together, even greater than it is right now.
She's right on message. Do you want to introduce us to the next wine, please?
That I can do.
I better polish this one off quickly then.
Is this the current?
That is a wine princess.
Oh, wait, because there is somebody actually holding the bottles behind you now with a beautiful golden crown. And what's a wine princess?
A wine princess in Franconia is a person who represents not the whole of Franconia, but a wine-growing village in Franconia. And that is what we call a wine princess.
Will she become a queen one day?
She could, because that is one of the factors in becoming the Franconian wine queen. You either have to be a winemaker, that is what I am, or you have to be a wine princess beforehand.
What's her name?
She is called Babette.
Babette's just looking at us while we talk about her. Hi, Babette.
Hi, Babette.
Okay, what's next?
I have a different grape variety next. It's the most famous, most important German, so not Franconian, but German grape variety, and that is a Riesling. Also a dry white wine in this case. Also fermented in a barrel, but not kept in it for as long, so it's more of a slimmer wine, not as prominent, as present in the glass as the last one we tasted.
This time Mark will do some sniffing and talking. This for you is not just a chance to go around the world. This is obviously passion and love is first, but it's also a profession now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But in order to be a wine queen, in order to do it with your whole heart, you have to have your soul and everything in the product of wine. So in not only the product itself, but in making wine, in distributing wine, and knowing about the product, in infecting others with the joy that, for me, comes with wine.
So Mark, for a change, is actually sniffing the glass and not the microphone. Normally after he's had a few to drink, it goes the other way around.
I was about to talk to the glass, but we'll get it right
It's
in a minute.
not easy, it really isn't.
I'm definitely getting apples this time.
Maybe it's because my senses are already dulled, but the first wine had a stronger aroma for me. So I've done the spinny thing, the centrifugal thing.
So you were introduced earlier in the conference that we are at as an onologist.
An enologist.
Enologist.
Yes.
What's the difference between enology and viticulture?
So viticulture is everything that's happening outside in the vineyards, and enology is the thing that comes to viticulture when the wine is in the cellar.
This is excellent. Is this a lot more expensive than the first one, or shouldn't I ask?
They are almost the same, I would say, but the Riesling is a bit fresher because it has that crisp acidity on the back of the tongue. That's what makes this grape variety so special.
On the panel earlier, you talked about lower sugar content. Is that the case with this wine?
Yes, it is. It has about 12 percentages of alcohol, and so that's not really low, but we're working on it. But that's really dry wine, so almost no residual sugar left in it.
Do you have a website where people can learn more about German wine?
The website would be winesofgermany.com. This is the website of the German Wine Institute, so the marketing institute for all of Germany's wine-growing regions. And there you can learn a whole lot more about the variety, the diversity of German wine.
Eva, thank you for being one of those folks who has a very easy-to-remember website, and thank you for sharing your love of wine with us.
Thank you, Queen Eva, and thank you, Princess Babette.
You're very welcome.
Bavaria Fact File. Munich Airport is the main airport for the region and a main hub for Lufthansa, with flights from 11 US cities, Canada, the UK, and most cities around the world. Lufthansa also fly from Tel Aviv to Munich, as do El Al and Arkia. Bavaria has other international airports, including Nuremberg, with flights from most major European cities, and Memmingen Airport, which is served by low-cost airlines. Ryanair run a service between Memmingen and Tel Aviv. Bayreuth has a city bus service with up to 23 lines operating at peak times. In Bayreuth you can stay at the Rheingold and the Liebesbier Urban Art Hotel. Bavaria has a mild continental climate with 4 distinct seasons, including warm, sunny summers and cold, snowy winters. Temperatures typically range from around 3 degrees Celsius, 37 Fahrenheit in January, to 25 degrees Celsius, 78 Fahrenheit in July. The region experiences distinct seasonal changes, with comfortable to warm conditions from May to September and cold, snowy weather from November to March. Typical Bavarian food includes hearty favourites such as roast pork, pork knuckle and sausages and dumplings. A traditional rural Bavarian delight is a meat and cheese platter known as a Brotzeit-Platter, featuring a variety of savoury German meats like Leberkäse and Bratwurst. Local cheeses such as Oberster or Bergkäse, crusty bread, pickles, radishes and condiments like mustard. For vegetarian, there is Käsespätzle, noodles soaked in cheese topped with roasted onions, and a grated potato patty deep fried in oil, similar to a latke. In Munich, there is the Einstein kosher restaurant, and look out for the Israeli Levantine restaurant, Schmock.
What we know is that Bayreuth first was mentioned in 1194 when the first church was established. The time between 1894 and 1430 is in the darkness. We know of something like a civitas, so we had some development, of course. But afterwards, in 1605, Bayreuth burned down. So it was a big fire, so we don't have old houses here. The one of the oldest is this one. This is dates back in the 13th century. It's called the Braunbier House, but it was also something like a palace from the nobility from outside Bayreuth, and they lived here. And they had some special rights, for example, to brew their own beer. This is still a pub inside, and it was also in former times. And this church was built in 1611 within 3 years. They collected the money after the big fire, and then it was built in 3 years. What a pity! In 1621, the city also burned down again. Big fire. And
this is Martin, our guide through Bayreuth.
Up the tower. So the watchman was there till 1934. So his job was to watch the fire. Maybe he drank too much, yeah, of course, because the pub was here. He told the children to bring him the beer from the pub, and the children did it, of course.
This is the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod, or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
Mark, in 1860, so about 120 years ago, do you know, I know you know, but still, how many breweries there were in this small town?
Somewhere between 59 and 61, I think.
pretty damn accurate. 60 and a half. Oh, there's a lady with a green, interesting pair of pants walking past. Anyway, Mark, tell us the story of Jean-Paul and his Jewish friend.
There was a gentleman called Jean-Paul Richter. He was based in Meiningen, and he had a Jewish friend in Bayreuth. And this friend would send him beer occasionally and say, look what we've got in Bayreuth. And Jean-Paul Richter loved the beer so much that he moved here. And when he moved here, he started drinking it regularly. Apparently it helped inspire him to write. So for the last, I think, 20 or so years of his life, he was here in Bayreuth. And this year is the 200th anniversary of his death. Our tour guide said that you could probably tell he'd been drinking from his works because they are rather complicated to understand.
He also had a very angry face, according to his statue. So then we came to a former brewery, and again, you were listening more than I was. And what were you saying about Benetton?
No, it was a Benetton shop. But what our guide was saying is if you walk through Bayreuth during the day, people keep their eyes down and they see the stores and they see the restaurants. But when you start to look up, you can see the history of some of the buildings. And the Benetton store is, in fact, the former Schilling Brewery, one of those 60 breweries that was here 150, 160 years ago. And there's a little statue of an Oktoberfest barmaid.
Interestingly, the green in the United colours of Benetton were exactly the same green as on the lady behind us right now.
Synchronicity. I think you're running out of things to say, David. So what I would recommend now is we go for a tasting session in the Meisel Brewery.
We have alcohol-free pale ale, and it's a top fermented beer. It's a little bit fruity, a little bit bitter, so I think it's very good, very nice beer. Just try, maybe just a nosing at the beginning. Okay, cheers.
You were expecting alcohol, weren't you, Mark?
Yeah, we're doing a beer tour, and we've finished stage one of our walk. We are now in the tasting room, and in front of me is an IPA. But it's alcohol free.
Let's try it. Have you tasted it yet?
I almost don't want to. It's like a waste of breath.
Put your nose in, have a sniff. Fruity.
It smells like beer.
Yeah.
It smells like an IPA.
Okay. I think we can talk a bit louder now because they've stopped their introduction.
Yeah. Just for the purpose of this podcast, I will break a habit of years. I will come off the wagon and try and drink alcoholic free beer.
Your good health.
L'chaim.
Bottoms up.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm impressed.
Did you listen to the explanation? I saw you were scrolling down your phone. Did you actually listen to what was being said?
About the transporter and sugar and...
This is made with alcohol. This is proper alcoholic beer. They do all the process and then they reduce the alcohol out of the beer.
But then it's not alcoholic, so it shouldn't taste alcoholic.
But it tastes alcoholic.
But that's just like watering down, which is what alcohol-free beer used to taste like.
And what do you think of it?
It tastes like beer. It's really impressive.
Have you listened to the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition yet? Hi there, I'm David Harris, and together with co-host Mark Gordon, we bring you the very best of the world of travel.
We've had our safety instructions and we're in a basket.
Either the cars are shrinking or we're going higher.
Now sat on a high chair.
You're listening to the last will and testament of Mark Simon Gordon.
We're in the independent micronation of Ujupis.
If I wasn't married, I'd be chasing away your indigenous 78-year-old and taking you for myself.
The drink afterwards, just to calm my nerves, will be number one, but this is definitely up there.
The Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition brings you the joys of travel and tourism. So why not subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts?
My name is Jeff Meisel. I'm in fourth generation the owner of the Brauerei Gebrüder Meisel in Bayreuth. I love beer and I have so much passion for it, so I want to make it the next 100 years.
I love beer too, so this is my favourite interview of the day. We're from the Jerusalem Post, and the first thing we noticed, there is a Star of David as the logo, and we saw that in town as well. Is there any connection, or does it mean something else?
It's not really the Star of David. It's two triangles together, and it symbolizes earth, fire, and water, yeast, hops, and malt. So those brought together is the star of fresh beer, especially for bakeries in former times here. When they had fresh beer, they put the star out, and it's in our logo. So it's, have to say, in that way, it's not a David star.
Tradition versus modernity.
Every beer fest, every time people come together, there's so much history and so much, they have their special dirndl on, and people celebrate the past. And that's what we love about it. And we do have a lot of traditional beer kinds. And then the innovation is like an IPA, different new beers, or the style of packaging, or the style of the place where you celebrate, like in a club or whatever. We do have to adapt to it and see what the customer wants and where he wants to enjoy his beer the most.
The purity laws are, if I've got this right, malt, barley, water and yeast.
Yes.
So how do you get like a chocolate flavoured bock with just those 4 ingredients?
That's a strong question, but the main part is the malts. You roast the malts with different stages of water content, and the less water, the roastier it gets, and then you get espresso and chocolate types in it. You use a yeast that doesn't bring too much aroma with it because you don't want banana or whatever aroma in it, and you reduce the hops and make it a very malty, strong beer, and that's where you get really chocolate notes. A lot of people say, do you have chocolate in your chocolate bock? It's like, no, it's just the malt.
You're a family business. I once hosted a conference day in the Gulf saying family business is dangerous unless you do it in an organised way with the education of the younger ones, where they work on the floor before they become the CEOs. How's the experience been in those generations in your family?
Anything you do, you have to do it with passion. That's the first of all. And you might not have as much money as the big global player has, but we do have a lot of passion and professionality. And I think nowadays that's even easier because you can study everything. You have your set of mind. You bring a team together. And if you have a good team, you can definitely, as a small brewery, can be better than a big brewery. It just depends on if you bring the team, the passion, the professionality good together.
Can people purchase your beers outside of Germany? And if so, how do they do it?
We do have like 45 countries where we sell our beer over importer. So anytime you want the beer, you can either ask over meisel.com, where can I find Meisel beer, and we'll tell you. And if I tell you, we'll give you an address and you can write him, or you can go in many shops and order online.
You saved me a question asking you the website. Jeff Meisel, thank you very much indeed for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for loving beer.
Thanks for hosting us as well.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition with Mark Gordon and David Harris. At last, the bottling plant.
I hope that means we're getting closer to beer.
We've been on a, hour and a half, 2 hour tour so far, and you just got that little bit of non-alcoholic stuff.
Which admittedly was very tasty. Yeah, about an hour through the town of Bayreuth, and now maybe 40 minutes through the museum at the Meisel Brewery. And now we've come to the end of the museum and we're in the factory watching the bottling plant and robots and all sorts of fun things.
Now, I didn't hear the statistic, but I heard you gasp at something that our guide Martin was saying.
So, in the old brewery, which is now the museum, that closed in 1973, they produced 40,000 litres of beer a day. In this bottling plant...
Can I guess?
Go for it.
I don't know. 250,000?
72,000 per hour.
So what's that in a day?
About 1.5 million.
That's a lot. Now, I'm very impressed at the speed at which the person is bringing the bottles in the crates.
Yes, he's called Pack.Tech.
Wouldn't be a robot, would he?
He would. He looks relatively intelligent. He hasn't broken any yet or drunk anything.
I do see a human running a forklift, and I see somebody who looks like an engineer in a high-vis top, clearly checking something out.
And I see some liquid on the floor. I hope it's not beer, because I would be crying if it had been spilt.
So if you do make it to Bayreuth, the museum is fascinating. I'm sure you need a guide. I'm sure that you need to arrange ahead of time to visit. There is a new part of the exhibit that's going to be opening at the end of September.
So in these 4 new interactive rooms, each representing one of the 4 ingredients from the Bavarian purity laws for beer, you get to choose your ingredients, your hops, your malt, your water and your yeast.
You may think that there are only 4 ingredients, but according to our guide Martin, there are a million possibilities of how you put them together.
I'll leave the beer making to others. I want to do the beer drinking.
Hello, I'm the Bavarian beer queen and my name is Anna Winkler.
Hi Anna, how do you become a Bavarian beer queen?
There is a casting. It's open for everyone, and after the first casting we were 70 girls. You're in the quarterfinal and there are 6 people. Then there's online voting all over the world, and after the best of 4 are going to the Löwenbräu-Keller in Munich, and then there's a big jury and like 500-600 people, and they also can vote for you. And then, yeah.
Is this like a beauty competition, or is this a beer competition, or something else?
Of course, no beauty competition. It's reality. To understand beer, to know what is beer, about the tradition, the culture from Bavaria, and what is the Reinheitsgebot? You have to explain.
So now it's your turn to explain. Tell us a little bit about Bavarian beer, since you're the ambassador.
Bavarian beer is, in the first row, a lot of fun. You have 4 ingredients to brew for the Reinheitsgebot, 15-16, and there were only 3 ingredients, and later there come the, I don't know the word, Hefe, you know, to make the alcohol.
Obviously this is audio and not video, but Anna just picks up a glass and you're drinking beer and you have your mum with you. What's your name?
Andrea.
Andrea. And the 2 of you are part of a family that runs a brewery. So it's not just about wanting to travel, and we'll talk about the travel soon. Tell us about your family brewery.
We started 2018. We were 7 people and a half. I'm the half. If you found a brewery, you open it, the first brew, and then you sell it. It's like you run your life. That's your life. That's yourself. That's people love what you're doing. Crazy.
So how much do you produce? Is it still a very small brewery?
A very, very small brewery with 400 liters in one
bottle.
In one vat?
Yeah.
The biggest breweries, how much are they producing a year?
Well, too much, over 200, 300,000 hectoliter.
Wow.
Running.
I'm guessing that you would say, and obviously in your role as the representative of all Bavarian beer, you have to say that it's all wonderful, but I'm guessing that you think that maybe the family-run, smaller enterprises maybe produce a finer beer than the ones that you don't want to say it. Okay.
No, it is not that. You see, Meisel's is a very big brewery, but the beer is high quality. It's really, really good. Some people say, I like this more, I like that more, so there is no straight meaning.
Is there a way to decide from all of the hundreds, thousands of beers in Bavaria which I want to drink? Or is it just about what I like?
I think it's what you like, because the taste is different. I can say I love helles, Landbier, because it's so smooth and you can drink it in the winter. You can drink it even if it is 40 degrees outside. It's refreshing.
In addition to the joy of being the queen, do you get to travel around Bavaria? Do you get to travel around Germany?
Yes, of course. To the whole world, yeah. In November, I'm in Hamburg for the casting for the Hamburger Beer Queen, and I'm jury. I will visit Rimini, Tirana, Philadelphia, Austria, all over the world.
So this is a fabulous experience.
Yes, of course.
And is your future, your personal future in beer making?
I already did, so yeah, there will always be a little future with brewing, but I'm sales manager. I love this job with my company, and we have a really, really good brewing master, and he's doing a great job, so I like to enjoy, but I like better to drink.
What is the name of your family company?
Brauschmiede Bier in Main-Bernheim. It's in the north of Bavaria.
There you go. So if you're coming to Bavaria, there's a special drink to look for. And I should just finish this little section by saying my colleague Mark and I, when we got into the lift in the hotel today, there were these two beautiful women who got into the lift with us, and one was already kind of dressed up and
Sorry, it was a really hard drive, and I was on an event before, so I was like, oh.
And we said to ourselves, who are these two beautiful ladies? And now we know we were in the lift with the Queen and the Queen's mother. Thank you both so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Welcome in Würzburg, and it's time to let the party begin.
And that was Chef Alexander Herman.
Hello, hi.
As you can hear in the background, there is a full orchestra playing. They don't do things by half here. David and I are lucky charms. We've been to 3 restaurants recently, and within weeks of us visiting, they've been awarded Michelin stars. Now I am standing with someone who doesn't need our help because he has Michelin stars of his own. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Alexander Herman. I have 6 restaurants. So one is called Imperial. It's in Nuremberg with the Frankness. It's a daily. And there's a Palazzo. It's a big cabaret with menu. And in Würzburg, it's a little village, so we have a hotel. It's 1869 by my family. And there is a 2-star Michelin restaurant called Aura. We have a bistro. And the 6th is the kiosk in the swimming pool. So we have some sausages and currywurst and so as well. It's pommes, but it's a secret.
Before Mark asks the next question, Yvonne from Nuremberg Tourism sends her love.
I love Nuremberg because my mom comes from Nuremberg, and I grew up in Nuremberg. In every holiday we was in Nuremberg, and this is only 100 kilometers far away from Würzburg, so it's I love it.
We were lucky enough to be in Frankness on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So we've already tasted your wonderful food. Where did you learn your craft? Which chefs did you work with? And how important do you think it is to then teach other people?
Oh, the important moment is the first time for 30 years I come at home and I have one sentence in my head, and it's called necessary that my person are not important for the restaurants and the hotel. And all I do in the last 30 years was all the time, how is it for me possible to grow up one of the best employees, to get a great team, to grow them up, give them the chance to bring his own idea and his personality to my restaurants and so on. We have all the time a kind of sparring, I think so. And they grow up on my side. I grow with them and they grow with me. And so we have in the last 20 years a really, really big team. We're just not only a team, I think we're a little bit more. We're in a kind of relationship, I think so. And this is the important way, and this is the chance why it's possible for me to have a 2-star Michelin restaurant. And it's not necessary to stay every evening in the kitchen or in the restaurant. It's possible for me to go to some TV shows or so on, because that's not only mine. It's a life project for me and 2 or 3 very, very important employees, peoples, and this is the kind I work since 1995.
So you've already touched on inspiration, and I understand that you're always looking for countries to visit, to taste, to sample, to get inspiration from. And I got a hint maybe that Tel Aviv is on your radar?
Also, I love to go to other countries, but sometimes I have not enough time in the year. So it's really necessary for me to get a real plan about the year when I get there. So in January this year, we was for 1 week to New York. We go with my head chef team there, and we cook there because it's an adventure to go in another country and cook there. Not only to eat, so to do things there. And next year, I think so, I would go to Korea. Yes, because they are fermented and so on. They are the head of the world, maybe, or one of them. And I will see what they do there. I will learn in the countries. I meet another guy here today, and I say to him, I think in the next 2 or 3 years I will come to Israel, because I love this city. Yeah, I always hear about the culinary art and so on, and it's necessary for me and my team to go there anywhere.
What's more important in preparing a dish, the ingredients or the presentation and the experience of the dish?
It starts with the ingredients. This is your chance to be by your philosophy. And this is the chance to be other as any restaurant around the world. The things we have in Würzburg, it's not able for you to get anywhere else in this world. It is not able, because we have now a future lab with fermented, with drying, with give them some salt or sugar, pickle them, and we do it of our own way. And sometimes we need 2 years to find the solutions, because the first year, for example, they grow up for a cabbage, and we test them, what can we do with the cabbage and so on, and then we found a solution saying this is it, but now we have to wait another year. Then we have, for example, 200 kilogram of this cabbage, and then we do our sauerkraut by ourselves, we ferment it. And this is the first step. And then I think the second step is always the excellence, because now the ingredients is the base, but not more. It's the base. It gives you all the chance. And now you must build the excellence. Now you must build your personality in this dish and the emotion. You need 3 things. Perfection, but this you must have to do everything in perfection. And the next one is personality and emotion. And bringing emotion in the dish is sometimes, well, the cooks, the chefs, my waiters and so on, they meet, for example, our farmers. And they are part of the story, yeah. And if they are part of the story, can get the guests the story by them own, and it's not a lie, it's not a PR moment, yeah, not public relation. It's a true story, and if you are true with them, then comes personality and emotion, and this is the heaviest and best moment for every dish. Perfection is standard. Everybody will do perfection.
At your Aura restaurant on the website, it says, I'll get this right, normal, yeah. I want magic. At yes. Frankness, it says, I like good food.
Yes.
Are you looking to shock?
Yes, that's the truth. Yeah. In Würzburg, normal, I want magic. It's an artist. Yes, and I met him for 2 years, and I love the sentence, because if you go to a restaurant and normally his art is 60 centimeters, and I told him, no, bring it on 3 meters to 3 meters. It's a sign in the restaurant on a mirror. So you go on to this mirror, you see yourself in the mirror, and you read the sentence, normal, I want magic. And this is important for what we will do. So it is, in Germany, it's called ein Versprechen. It's a promise to the guest. Normal, we will do magic for you, and is a promise by our team. So not normal. We are emotional. We are personality. We must go over there. Yes, this is in the shock moment for the guest, gives you the chance to be by yourself. This is not a restaurant with white dishes and so has candles, and you don't know how to move my body. Is it everything right? Is my clothes okay? So, and if you have the sentence like this, you have your soul good moment, because you say, okay, now I'm right. It doesn't matter, have a polo shirt, and this gives you the chance to be yourself, but you can love the perfection that we do.
Michelin-starred chef and George Peppard lookalike, Alexander Hellman, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much. Wow, great, thank you.
This is the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod,
or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
I left my spoon behind, my tweezer spoon.
Okay, what should we focus on first? The leaving it behind, or what on earth is a tweezer spoon?
Well, as we're on the coach leaving the super impressive Alexander Herman Aura restaurant, I don't think we're going back for my tweezer spoon.
Okay, so you accidentally left a spoon. What is a tweezer spoon and where did you get it? Have you been stealing again?
No, it was a gift. I was asked if I wasn't asked. I was told to leave the restaurant at about 8:45 for a surprise. And there were 9 or 10 of us who went to Anima, or what was supposed to be Anima, but Anima has left the building for 2 weeks. Anima is the development lab for the Alexander Herman restaurant Aura. Essentially, they find ingredients, they ferment them, they pickle them, they salt them, they add miso to them and turn them into all sorts of yummy ingredients that are used in Aura.
So it's a lab to decide what works and what doesn't work?
Yes. It's a massive storeroom full of pickling jars, and there was a little tray in front of us, and Yoshi Oswald, who is the chief pickler and procurer, I think he has another title, but we'll call him the chief pickler for the moment. He guided us through 5 different dishes or 5 different flavourings made from one cherry.
I still don't understand what a tweezer spoon is.
So to taste these little things, you had a spoon for the oils and the liquids, and tweezers to pick up little cubes of watermelon with soy sauce or black quince that had been enzymatically cooked.
So the other end of the spoon from the ladly bit of the spoon is not a handle but a tweezer.
Correct. Which can be used in very, very high-end kitchens to lay that little bit of mint or decoration on your dinner.
So why did you leave it? Do you not like it?
No, I was so engrossed in conversation and so enjoying my dessert, completely forgot all about it.
This is the last day of our day and a half or so in Bayreuth. We've also spent a considerable amount of time around this region. You'll hear those podcasts later on. So I guess rather than summarising all that we've seen in Bavaria, we should probably just summarise what listeners have heard in this podcast and how we feel about it.
Which is 85% Bayreuth, and we've also been to Würzburg.
Which is where the restaurant is.
Which apparently is and isn't a suburb of Bayreuth.
Is and isn't?
Yeah, depends who you ask from the German National Tourist Board.
It's been really interesting, a lot of fun. Bayreuth in itself is a sort of place that you're going to want to go for a couple of days. But what we can say about it is it's a tremendous centre on an east-west and north-south line, or lines.
That's very impressive.
Is it?
Did you get that conversation at dinner, or did you work that out?
No. We talked about that earlier in the day. We listened earlier in the day to Manuel from the local tourist authority talking about it.
It was on my phone.
Oh dear. The really funny thing is, I actually, in dinner tonight, quoted you as having said that to me. And he said, well, I was the one who said that. And I felt so bad because I suddenly realised it was when I was listening to him and not you. So I humbly apologise for that and for my awful German accent and any cultural appropriation.
I think if there's one way to describe Bayreuth, it's how Ofer, our wonderful contact at the German National Tourist Board, described it as terribly cute. Nora Hamuda. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Does that mean terribly cute?
Yeah, Nora Hamud, but yeah, you're right, Hamuda for a city. But we would say Nora Hamud.
It's a great base if you're taking yourself around the region. It's cheaper than the major cities, and it has this beautiful centre. It's really lovely. It has, like most of the region of Upper Franconia, breweries, wineries, great restaurants. There's a lot of Indian restaurants.
Yeah, and Thai. And there's also a palace on the end of town built by and for Wilhelmina. It's another place to visit apart from the Baroque and Wagner concert halls. Where do we go now? Thank yous?
Well, back to the hotel.
Yes, we're on a bus.
Yes, thank yous. We've already mentioned the wonderful Ofer, but also to Petra, the CEO of the German National Tourist Board, for hosting us, to Manuel of the Bayreuth Tourism Board for also hosting us, to all the wonderful people that have appeared on our podcast, and probably particularly to Alexander Herman, who hosted us in his restaurant this evening.
And to the Meisels, who hosted us in their brewery. Beyond the thank yous, we would like to thank you, dear listener, in advance for liking, following and sharing.
David, have you got a question?
I certainly do. If you remember, way back at the start of this podcast, I, under constant interruption from Mark as usual, asked you which famous composer died in Bayreuth on the 31st of July 1886, and you kept saying
Wagner,
and that is not correct. It was a man whom I now believe to be his father-in-law, Franz Liszt.
So they played Liszt at his funeral then?
No, were you there for the conversation?
I was.
So apparently Wagner's wife was so into the idea that only Wagner is the only way, insisted that at Franz Liszt's funeral they only play Wagner. Allegedly.
Terrible.
Do you remember the name of Wagner's wife? It was like Concerto or Conchita or something.
Clemens?
Cosimo? If you know the name... Oh, Cosimo, well done. So I was just about to say, if you know the name of Richard Wagner's wife, then please email us, markdavidpod@gmail.com, or you can contact us through social media @markdavidpod.
It's been a really wonderful trip.
It has. Should we head to the airport?
We should. Time to say Auf Wiedersehen.
We're off on a slow train from Bayreuth to Nuremberg, and then a fast train into Munich and back to Tel Aviv. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm off to find the beer queen. Goodbye.